Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Today, we have a very pleasant event of great magnitude. This is an important infrastructure project which we are completing today. It is going to play a significant, important role for the northwest of the country and for the rest of the country as a whole. It helps raise the competitiveness of the regions through which M11 goes. It also provides new opportunities for the tourist industry, and it raises the investment attractiveness on the whole. Right now, I saw our French colleague, and I instantly remembered that he participated in signing the MOU in Paris back in 2006. In my presence, as well as in the presence of the then President Jacques Chirac, and it is very pleasant to point out that projects of such magnitude are not just planned, they are also brought into reality. It speaks to the fact that when we pull our efforts together, when we concentrate, when we work shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, we do manage to bring about positive results. And I would also like to point out that this is a very good example of private-public partnership. This project, in it participated both the government and private companies, in particular French and Turkish ones, and we all worked as one coherent team to achieve some good results, and we did manage to do that. So I would like to request the heads of the regions through which M11 runs to comment on what you colleagues think about this project, how exactly you intend to proceed henceforth. But there is one thing I would like to highlight. Your work is far from over. It is probably only beginning because you've got to provide amenities to this motorway to make sure it's comfortable, and it's up to you. The construction is over, the motorway is there, but it has to be made convenient and comfortable for the people, and this has to be done with your direct participation. This is recreational areas, gas filling stations, food, and also communications. All of this has to be top-notch, cutting-edge, just as M11 is cutting-edge. We all understand full well that in the history of road construction in Russia, this motorway is unprecedented. As the workers have just pointed out, right now we have something indeed unprecedented. This are the first, and this is a very good experience. Encouraging too. We've got new plans for how we can build similar motorways in other directions. Right now, Minister is going to report, and I think he's going to mention that. Once again, colleagues, my congratulations to you all. And first and foremost, I would like to address my words of gratitude to our partners, to those who worked on the ground and who managed to complete this project. I give my thanks to the engineers, to the workers, everyone who made a contribution, their experience, their heart. My congratulations to you all. Minister, thank you very much, Mr. President. I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to you for the attention you give to transport. You always knew what was going on, how this project was coming along. And I think for Russia, it is a very beautiful project, a new one to boot. It gives to us a whole new level of quality of transport services. We drove along the motorway with colleagues, with heads of the highways, public cooperation. We saw the governors along the course of this road, and it sort of took us a blink of an eye to get from here to there. And we managed to talk to projects, to colleagues. They talked about the projects they were involved in. It is a new quality, something unmatched. When it all started back in 2005, when the law on concession agreements were just coming along, the first segment, Moscow-St. Petersburg, was built based on such concession agreement. It was commissioned back in 2014. It was the first segment to have been commissioned. And right now it's quite efficient. I remember the discussions around that, whether people would be willing to pay to drive through a toll road. But we see the practice, it is the segment that is in greatest demand. And as I briefed you, it is used heavily by commercial vehicles. Around 92% of commercial vehicles that go along the motorway, which links Moscow to St. Petersburg, as well as all the capitals along the road. These are commercial vehicles that use the new transporter system. It gives them a chance to go quickly through the toll plazas. It is far more convenient to pay, and it also helps them save money. If you look at our light passenger vehicles, people can save up to 40% thanks to using an electronic transponder when they go through a toll plaza. 1,350 rubles, that is going to be the cost, the fee from Moscow to St. Petersburg along the motorway for a passenger vehicle. I would like to tell you that unlike the refurbished motorways that we overhauled, this toll has been designed specifically as a toll road, and there are just 2 toll plazas at the entrance and at the exit point, and it facilitates the process. Well, as for the entrance and the exit from Moscow to Moscow, from St. Petersburg to St. Petersburg, aren't we going to have some bottlenecks, traffic jams? No, there are not going to be any traffic jams. Right now, the entrance to Moscow has been expanded and extended, and it's very easy to enter the city. You don't have to go to the ring road around Moscow. You can go almost straight to the city center via Dmitrovskaya highway and get to the garden ring. There is an overpass with a high speed. And in St. Petersburg, the junction goes straight to the central ring road, and it can be easily used. There are plans. Alexander Dmitrievich is going to comment on that. We have plans to further expand these junctions. The interchanges, the junctions to the central ring road to St. Petersburg allow drivers to leave the highway early if they need to. There is one thing you mentioned, a very important circumstance. It is a road, a highway that has been built based on the principles of public-private partnership. Segments 7 and 8 we opened today were based on the concession agreement. 669 kilometers of the motorway cost us more than 500 billion rubles. And we managed to get 178 billion rubles of private investment. So a huge chunk of this money comes from private investors. There are many recreational zones that can be used by the drivers along the motorway. They are located in Staraya Russa, Pushkin, Valdai, Zavidovo, Tver, and these cities and towns have become closer to our customers, and we've created a brochure about the sites and locations that any driver going along the new motorway can visit. There are a number of photos. If you have a chance, please have a look. And maybe you could sign it for our construction workers as well as for our museum. This is a very good book that we've cobbled together. The most important thing is that we're decreasing the time spent en route and the number of road accidents. Right now, we've managed to divert a large part of traffic from M10 to M11. And right now the speed at the M11 is 110 kilometers per hour. And in summer, we're going to raise the speed limit to 130. So if you are traveling long distances, you can go very quickly, and there is lighting masts installed all along the motorway. At all junctions, at all interchanges, we have different levels, and we use special fencing and guardrails, and this has allowed us to decrease the number of road accidents, and not just at M11, but also at M10, the current motorway connecting Moscow and St. Petersburg. So this is a whole new quality of life. And we spoke about road accident commissioners that are functioning along the motorway. They can help people if people have run out of gas or a car broke down. They can help. And sometimes if there is a difficult situation, someone has ended up in a road accident, these commissioners are equipped with medical equipment and first aid kits, and they have the necessary experience of providing emergency response. They are fencing away the road accident sites if a need arises, so as to prevent further clashes with other cars. So we've managed to decrease the number of road accidents down 40%, whereas lethal road accidents have decreased threefold. This is a very important indicator of how we are implementing your May decrees with regard to that. This motorway is also a part of a big transportation corridor, and I'm confident, Mr. President, that we're going to have a chance to regroup the resources we used to construct this motorway, to reconstruct a segment to Vladimir, to Kazan, and we're going to complete by 2027, stage by stage, the new motorway linking Moscow and Kazan. This is going to be a part of a new corridor, Europe, Western China. So my remarks, I'd like to conclude them with my words of gratitude to the heads of the regions. Without their contribution, we would not have been able to achieve what we have. They have helped us with land rights and land properties. We wouldn't have been able to construct this new road without their help and their assistance. And I'm confident that the Moscow region is also going to help us with the motorway to Vladimir. Vladimir Yurievich is helping us sort out the land issues. I think that's about everything I have wanted to mention. Once again, I'd like to thank you for your support in this important, wonderful project. Sergei Semyonovich, the floor is yours, please. Mr. President, colleagues, this is indeed a huge event, a colossal one, linking two big agglomerations together with a total population of 26 million people and linking together a number of regions along the way. This is indeed a unique project. I remember that you looked actively into this project, Mr. President, when you were back in the government. Back then, this unique project of public-private partnership was established. It was something unseen before for the country. And today, this has been completed, and the results are magnificent. It is also very important for Moscow. It is important how this motorway enters Moscow, as Minister has pointed out. At the entrance to Moscow, we constructed a unique Gusinovsky interchange, a 5-level interchange. We designed it and colleagues constructed it. It is something unique too, and we used mostly overpasses to create junctions to the city and to the Moscow Central Ring Road to link all of this together. And today, M11 entrance is also joined together with two big projects, the diameters, the northwest and the north eastern one. The first one is ready, the other one is 2/3 complete, so it is kind of a triangle. But there is one important issue I'd like to talk to you about, Mr. President. It is very important to understand how the flows are going, flows of traffic at the entrance. There is a huge chunk of the flow that is transiting through Moscow, and it simply runs into the ring road, and the ring road has no longer the capacity to withstand it. At your decree, a new central ring road is being constructed, which is of huge magnitude. It is around 500 kilometers. The first segment is going to be around 300 kilometers around Moscow, and you gave us the instruction to do that, and 2/3 of the project is complete, and we are getting ready for commissioning, but there are some difficulties, and we have to push back the commissioning to 2021, 2022. So this process is slowing down, and I'm afraid that the project could be pushed back even further. Maybe we could arrange for a meeting once again. There are some systemic issues that need to be sorted out. Without that, we are not going to be able to move forward. Besides, the segment to Kazan has to be linked to this road as well. Without that, the road is going to be less efficient, at least by 30%. Yes, but the local authorities should also provide their assistance to this project, and they have to work on time. Land has to be provided without any bureaucratic red tape and administrative costs.
Yes, we are working with our colleagues, but there are still several issues and problems that may be and should be solved. The main issues are how it will be entered, and we need to pay attention to this issue. I guess that this project would increase its efficiency in 1.5 in volume of cargoes transported there. Thank you so much, Mr. President, again for paying this attention to these major infrastructure projects that do have impact on the life of our cities and regions. Thanks a lot. Mr. Vorobyov, you have the floor. Your Excellency, Mr. President, for the Moscow region, well, we met when we launched the Moscow Central diameters. This is a great and major project, as well as the highway that we inaugurated yesterday. First of all, this is the Sheremetyevo airport. We invest around $1.5 billion invested into this airport in order to increase a passenger capacity, and for a long time we were not able to calculate the time, which time prior to your flight you should go there. Now this toll highway will allow us to increase the passenger capacity of this airport. Now it's around 50 million passengers going through this airport. This is a strategic airport for us. Second advantage is what Mr. Dietrich has mentioned, the death tolls through the road accidents. Now the trucks will be going to the toll highway, plus those measures that we will be implementing, and we see the 15 or 16% decrease in the death in accidents. Another major and important topic is when the Leningradsk highway is going through Khimki, through Solnechnogorsk and Klin, through these towns, and it's really difficult when you have this flow through this highway. Fourth advantage, we created industrial parks, for example, Mercedes Park, and you coordinated these activities. It is situated on the territory that goes along the Yesipovo Park. 15 industrial parks are situated there, and last month we opened the major logistic complex, which is called Leroy Merlin, because time is money, as we know, and today we see this need for the major logistic complexes and hubs. So for us, this has a great social, economic importance, and which is more important, now we see the decrease in the flows along the Leningradsk highway. Before, you used to go to the Sheremetyevo airport, spend 2 or 3 hours for your flight, and then spend another 2 or 3 hours more in order to go from Sheremetyevo airport to the city. And Mr. Sobyanin has already mentioned this, that we see the increase in the tourist flow, and comfort is really, really important. So thank you so much again for your coordination and for the creating the direction in 2012 in order to develop the Moscow transport system. Without the decision, we see the help and assistance of Mr. Ivanov, and without the decision it will be really difficult for us. Now we have new interchanges and new highways which allows us to develop these territories. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. President. Dear colleagues, first of all, on behalf of the Tver region and of the population of the Tver region, I would like to thank you for this initiative to construct the first highway, high-speed motorway. And I would like to also thank the Ministry of Transport and the Russian State Highways Company. For our region, which is situated between two capitals, M11 Motorway has a key role in order to develop our agriculture, economy, and to ensure the increase in tourist flows. Also, I would like to mention that thanks to this project, we developed the Moscow Sea cluster, Zavidovo, Torzhok, and Vishny Volochyok. During next years, we foresee the implementation of additional projects that will be implemented thanks to M11 highway. Those are 19 billion of investments and more than 17,000 of workplaces and new jobs. Mr. Putin, on the basis of our consultations, we would like to introduce two suggestions during this meeting. First is the construction of North Overpass around the city of Tver. Its length will be around 60 kilometers, and as of today we are actively working on designing this third stage. The implementation of this project will allow us to create transport corridors to Yaroslav Oblast and to Vologda and to the city of Dubny of Moscow region, which is important for us because this northern passage would allow us to attract two major investors. Those are Novolipetsky metallurgic plant with the major investments into the agriculture, and we are in charge of infrastructure, an amount of 18 billion rubles. And the second is Coral plant. Those are 36 billion of rubles of investments. And from this northern passage, we will have additional routes. You know them very well, thanks to the Tver wagon construction plants. They are producing the E-Volga trains. And we hope with the support of Mr. Levitin from Rosavtodor, I guess. Well, so we just ask you to support this initiative. And the second initiative, on the 314th kilometer, we have a technical interchange. We would like to ask you to develop this to the working stage. We will be ready to finance this in order to make this diameter, thanks to with the means of the budget means, with M11, M10, and M9, the Baltia highway. Thanks to this, we will be able to connect our tourist places, major tourist places, and we will have the automotive traffic between the St. Petersburg highway, between the Baltic highway, through Astashkovsky, Vishny Volochyok, and through Niloslabenskaya Pustin. We'll be able to finance this ourselves. We just want to have this interchange in the operational way. And then, in this case, we will have a vibrant route on the Seluga Lake. We also would like to say that thanks to the M11 highway, even now we see the increase in the tourist flow. We were able to develop our tourist companies, and by the end of the next year we'll increase the tourist flow till 2 million of tourists. Now it is around 1 million people who are arriving at the territory of the Tver region. Thank you so much. Well, as for the interchange, Mr. Ditich, you have the floor. It's the northern passage of Tver. Yeah, if you allow me, yes, I talked to Mr. Levitin about this. This is a major and important project for the Tver region, northern Tver passage, because the southern passage, which is being used today, it is already being built, and we will not be able to expand it in the future. So this northern passage will give the possibility to develop these territories and to give access to Yaroslavl and then to the city of Vologda, which will be alternative to M8 highway. This is a promising project. Now we are in the process of designing and survey. If there is a possibility, we would support this initiative so that this passage will be constructed. As for the interchange, we will deal with this issue if they are ready to finance it. Then it will be really easier about the construction of toll plazas on each of the interchanges. I think there will be no additional load, and this will be even useful for this highway, which would allow to give access to new highways between two federal highways, M9 and the St. Petersburg highway, which had been constructed through our means. So they are truck highways, right? In order for the cargo transportation and truck transportation, and yeah, that solution will be really useful. As for the northern passage, we will allocate land territories. Okay, thanks. So I know that you had a birthday yesterday, so happy birthday. Well, yes, for 1 year we have this Novgorod section of the highway. I can give you some preliminary numbers. Around 100 billions of rubles were invested into these through concessional agreements and federal budget. These highway gave us an opportunity to give additional impetus to development of 2 mono cities, and this is the reality. It has become a reality thanks to the fast logistics between Moscow and St. Petersburg. We were able to attract investors. We have them. We have new companies, and there is a new life for these 2 cities. 25% of the increase in tourist flows for the year 2018, because the tourists now can go more actively from Moscow. Now we are inaugurating this section, and we hope that in 2019-2020 this tourist flow would also increase. On this territory we would have 6 multifunctional zones. In each of them we would invest 1.5 billion rubles, and Novgorod companies will also participate in this. We talked with our colleagues about this. We'll have 2 tourist centers for those who would love to stop there for a while and to get familiarized with the Novgorod region. This is a major milestone and event, the bridge across Volkhov, which was named after composer Rachmaninov. This is the first bridge on this toll highway, and in total we constructed 330 bridges. So there are a lot of bridges, really, 330 bridges. Well, the most important number is the decrease in 3.5 times the deaths as a result of traffic incidents. This is the major result. It could have been in the other way, and we had a serious risk that this highway will be just a transit between Moscow and St. Petersburg, and that we would have nothing to do with this highway. Why didn't it happen? Well, because we have a project devoted to high-quality motorways. Thanks to the work that we are doing with our colleagues in order to construct the basic system of our regional routes, this M11 highway as a center of attraction. It has connections with the city center, with the region, so thank you so much for this national project. I would like to also thank our colleagues and the Ministry of Transport for their support given to us. We were able to develop more than 2,000 kilometers, and we have a lot of things to do in the future, and we'll be able to cope with this. During the session of this State Council, we discussed the necessity to renovate local and regional bridges. You supported this idea. Well, it will be awkward to construct the roads that go to the bridges that have 30 years without renovation. Our colleagues developed such a program. Now we see that they will have the financement only since 2022. If there is a possibility, if there are some resources, could you please support this work in order to make this work at the same time. I mean bridges and the regional highways and roads. So thank you so much again. I would like to thank all the colleagues for paying so much attention to our region. And I would like to thank our colleagues for having found time to pay tribute to the soldiers that died in the territory of Novgorod region. We will have the monument to them. Thank you so much. Thank you for your kindness, and thanks a lot for this decision, historic decision, adopted by you. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, Mr. President, dear colleagues, first of all, I would like to say that for us, this is a breakthrough, major strategic project. Over the last 15 years, we see the increase in the cargo transit through Leningrad region towards the state border and towards new port complexes. And taking into account that we have to, stage by stage, divert the transportations to the ports in this region, we expect the increase in numbers. But unfortunately, over the last years, this major transit flow has stuck in the multi-kilometers traffic jams near Shurshары, Ulyanovka, because the volume is growing, but the road did not let us to congest this volume. And so we've seen some social problems and some dangers. That's why the inauguration of this section of this M11 highway is a great opportunity to unleash the potential in order to ensure the growth of the cargo transportation on the territory of the Leningrad region.
And certainly I cannot but point out that one of the strategic points of growth is Tozhninsky area, because through this area the motorway runs and there is a good potential and there is good infrastructure. Just some statistics: on the eve of the inauguration of the motorway, we saw a 33% increase in investment into this area, and there's going to be another 10 billion investment announced, and that was on the eve of the opening. And one in particular, a packaging plant, a gas tank plant, and a logistics terminal, a boiler plant, a new smart park, which is called Aero, and also an M11 industrial zone. And colleagues and I, we signed a joint agreement, a single tourist project. We called it the Road of Our Sovereign. It is a historic, a tourist project. The new motorway has been commissioned. The tourist flow is grown, and we're all stand to benefit from that. And given the fact that the transit potential of our area is growing, maybe we could think about creating a semicircle that is going to link together Sautavala, Scandinavia, the Moscow direction and Kiev direction, to interlink all of these roads together, because we cannot rely only on the central ring road, which is very close to St. Petersburg. Part of it, a section of the road, is inside the city, and there is a huge transit potential, and we should probably relieve the city center from it. Thank you. Mikhail Dmitrievich, please. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, for St. Petersburg, this is an emblematic event indeed. It can be compared to the construction of a railroad between Moscow and St. Petersburg. It is a mega project that has been completed today, and on behalf of the people of St. Petersburg, we'd like to say huge thank you to all the participants, and in particular, Mr. President. M11 facilitates the traffic situation in the south of the city, and it brings down from 9 to 5.5 hours the time needed to get from Moscow to St. Petersburg. And we expect an increase in business activities, a decrease in transport costs, greater tourist flow from Moscow to the neighboring regions. Opening M11 helps new opportunities for cooperation between St. Petersburg and Moscow, as well as with the entrepreneurs of Tver, Novgorod, and other regions along the road. And we're interested in the suppliers of agricultural products from these regions, and the costs are going to go down as well. St. Petersburg also gets a new vector for city development southwards. We expect an increase in investment attractiveness of zones in the south, Shushari, Metallistroy, power machines, and other towns and settlements. M11 facilitates transport situation in the south. It creates greater accessibility to a great number of villages and settlements in the south of St. Petersburg. Right now, around 1.5 million people go south to the countryside, especially during the summer period. They go into the countryside. So thanks to M11, we'll manage to debottleneck it. Right now, we expect to have two junctions, two interchanges in the south of St. Petersburg, one at the intersection with the Central Ring Road. There are two junctions and two passages from M11. You can go to the inner circle, and it is to the west from the western high-speed diameter. The second well is in Sofiyski Street. It required us to work as fast as possible to complete the works, and we managed to do what we had. The length was 700 meters. We managed to do as was required by the ministry, and right now the motorway has been linked to the road system of St. Petersburg in the direction of the city. And this new junction, new interchange in Sofiyski Street, it has been funded by the city. The city has allocated 2,700,000,000 rubles. Mr. President, St. Petersburg and the people are interested in constructing another junction, an additional junction in the direction of Pulkovo Airport, and this is something Minister and I have discussed. There are also plans to expand the airport and to raise the passenger flow up to 35 million tourists by 2025, and it will help get access to Pulkovo for people living in the neighboring areas. It'll also decrease the traffic flow along Pulkovo Highway, but for that we certainly need assistance from the federal government. We talked to the ministry about that. Without the federal government, it is going to be very hard for us to achieve that. Now, as for our plans, we have in plans additional junctions from M11 in the direction of Pulkovo Airport, and we've got some money we can allocate, but we need assistance. And of course, there is a question of federal participation in other projects for the development of road system in St. Petersburg. Together with the ministry and the federal government, we worked through 5 priority projects. And of course, we're in close contact with VTB Bank as well as other investors as part of the private-public partnership, and this is certainly yielding results. I refer in particular to the Southern Longitudinal Highway and Yuzhny-Volkonsky Highway, the junction at the intersection of Moscow Prospect and Dunajska Highway. These are very important projects for our city, which are going to help us remove some bottlenecks for the neighboring regions, and I'd like to request your assistance, Mr. President. Thank you very much. Colleagues, is anyone willing to add something? Andrei, maybe? Thank you, Mr. President. Well, as you know, we've already completed 3 projects in St. Petersburg. Everyone has participated. I refer to the construction of a Pulkovo Airport, the western high-speed diameter, and segments 7 and 8 of M11. I'm not going to repeat myself. Indeed, we're working on other projects as well, and as shareholders, we're willing to participate in the next stage of Pulkovo expansion, because very soon the passenger flow is going to increase the design capacity. It's 20 million right now, and the design capacity is 18. So it will require that we build additional transport communications. So we certainly are in favor of another junction from M11 towards Pulkovo, and there is another project we're working through with the city, that is Vitebsk Junction. Alexander Dmitrievich and you have given a very concrete instruction. It's very important that we implement it as soon as possible. The investment is split into 3 parts, 10 from the government, 10 from the city, and 10 from us. And if we manage to work together, we can do that by 2022. But it's very important not to lose momentum. So we hope that the government and the city are going to do that very quickly. And of course, the longitudinal highway is a very important project for the city. We're working together with the city. We are willing to fund up to half, around 80 billion in private investment, and it'll help alleviate the transport situation in St. Petersburg. Now, as for the MOU with Avtodor, indeed, we're willing to participate in the construction if we get support from the government from Moscow to Azimuth in 2 stages. And I think it's going to be around 40%, no less, of the funding in private investment. Yes, colleagues, please. Let me say just a couple of words very briefly. Now, as for the refurbishment of the wonderful motorway we've completed, I'd like to say that we have Chita-Khabarovsk motorway, which we refurbished and made very comfortable. You gave this instruction back in 2009, and the situation there was far worse than M11. It was going through a wasteland, not a single settlement or town, no communications, no ambulances, no police stations. And you gave your instructions, and in 2 years we managed to set it in order. And I think we can do the same in M11, but far quicker, because everything is easy here, because there are more settlements and more of everything. Another thing, in the northwest, the traffic situation has changed drastically. It's not just thanks to M11. We've got a wonderful highway from St. Petersburg to the state border. We've constructed the central ring road. Today, I came to Vasilyevsky Island from Pulkovo, and I took the northeast high-speed diameter, and it took me 20 minutes to go via the city center to Vasilyevsky Island. It was unimaginable but a few years ago. And we also see an increase in the cargo flow from Ust-Luga. There is, as you can see, a natural replacement, a relocation shift, and cargo flows to our ports from the Baltic ports. And I think that M11 is going to help alleviate this burden. I agree with Sergei Semyonovich with regard to the importance of the central ring road. On how the junctions are going to be constructed, a lot is going to depend, especially with regard to Kazan, with the eastern direction of the road. There's a huge burden which can hardly be tolerated any longer. So once the Moscow new central road is constructed, it is going to help us a lot, and it has to divert the truck traffic. The new motorway M11 raises significantly the investment attractiveness of all the bridges along the motorway. And not just Russian companies working via the Russian Direct Investment Fund. I get proposals from foreign investments who are willing to invest more into Novgorod region and Tver region, because it's far easier to get supplies, materials, and food there. Now, with regard to safety, indeed, safety has been tightened thanks to the construction of this new motorway, and there is another one. We've got millions of passenger cars equipped with special equipment to report accidents, and we have 26,000 reports on a daily basis. Sometimes 18,000 of them are automatic. That means that you cannot simply push the button yourself to alert the emergency services, and it is done automatically. You simply send a message, and it helps save lives. And another important issue, as the Russian proverb goes, there are two Bains in Russia, people and maybe Mr. Deselgi is going to say something? No? Okay, thank you. A huge thank you to you. I'd like to say a huge thank you for your work. Thank you for doing a great job. I'd like to request the ministry and the heads of the regions to come up with proposals with regard to state awards on this project, because it was good. We're going to proceed with our plans, in particular with regard in light of the proposals that we've heard during our today's meeting. Thank you very much.